Hi everyone, it's nice to have you back again watching this video series. I have today a very special guest, Yesenia Torres, who's here to talk with us. So the first thing I'm going to ask Yesenia to do is just say hello, tell us a little bit about herself, and why I might have picked her to talk on about disability and other things. So Yesenia, do you want to say hello to everybody?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you and try to share as much as my experience and my roller coaster rides that go on daily, give you, another spectrum of what is a life with a disability. My disability is a spinal cord injury that I acquired 26 years ago by a car accident. Just a second. Silencio. Sorry, I'm at home. I'm working from home and I'm doing this until you're at home. So these are normal things that happen. You know, the age, they don't think about these
Yeah.
details. But yeah, it's good. It's good to see it in experiences firsthand. So as I was saying, 26 years ago, I was in a car accident. So um, there was a luggage that hit my neck. Silencio. A luggage that hit my neck and um, injured it at the level C4, C5, leaving me with no movement from the chest down. I do, move my arms and things like that, but I'm not able to grab. I have this splint that helps me do things. So yes, that's my spinal cord injury. And why did Dr. Escalon choose me? Because I'm fabulous. I'm doing a lot of things. I'm living life, and I want you guys to know how us fabulous people with a disability live life.
Thank you. Thank you for saying hi to everybody. So, one thing that I want to kind of get into, and thank you for sharing, is your life now. So, you're working, right? I mean, you're working, you have friends, you go out, like all that is part of your life, right? It's not like the spinal cord injury has prevented you from doing those things.
Yes, fortunately, and with a lot of hard work, I could say that today I have a very good job. I work with a city agency, and like everybody, you have to escalate and you have to empower yourself to get there, to get to where I'm at. It wasn't easy. It was a lot of volunteering and being with the right people at the right time, and just being able to observe everything that was going on around me to really make it out there and be able to have a good job and have a good earning. Silencio. Sorry for that. What else? So I do have a lot of friends. Oh my gosh, I'm very social. I go out, I go to the movies, I go to dinner every Friday. I like to go to concerts. I like to go clubbing. I haven't done it in a few, but I love going clubbing. And it just makes me feel alive, just doing everything that everybody does. So yes, I do a little bit of everything.
Nice. That's great. And so, one thing I wanted to also talk about was, and one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you is because I know you put yourself out there. You're open, you talk about whatever, and you like to have fun, and you go to parties when you can, and there's not COVID and all that stuff. And so to the outside world looking in, to somebody that didn't really understand spinal cord injury all that well, they'd see you were in a wheelchair, but they would think everything was fine. So I was just curious, like, because you really are, you're someone that's really out there. You're living the best life you can, but and you make it look easy, but that's what we see. But I was just curious about the parts that aren't easy, if you could share with us.
Yes, of course. Just because I have a good attitude and I have a positive attitude towards the life, that's my fire to keep on going every day. But yes, there's a lot of difficult moments, and and difficulties that we go through, and especially, with a spinal cord injury so high, it's like you're a big baby. They have to bathe me, they have to dress me, they have to fix my hair. Like, there's so many things that another person, a second person my age, have to do for me to get ready to go out into the world and try to live a normal life. So just, let's reverse and rewind it. Just starting the day, sometimes your body breaks down and says no, like, I'm not able to get up today, I'm in pain, I'm tired, and my mind is like, come on, let's go, today's a beautiful day, let's try something new. But it doesn't coordinate your mind with your body, and sometimes you just have to let go and say, okay, today is one of those days, but tomorrow is going to be a better one. So with that said, if I'm in one of those moods and I can't do, I have to make sure that I understand that, and that my body understands that, okay, today I'm going to give you a break, but tomorrow we're going to keep on rolling, right? So with my aides, not easy. Their pay is not good. So that's something that, I am an activist for the people with disabilities, and trying to change legislation, and just get, everything that we need in 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 our pockets, correct? So our main issue, or my main issue, and it's been going on for a while, is trying to fight for that, extra money that our aides deserve, because they have like 5, 10 hats. My aide is like my best friend. My aide is my aide. My aide is the person that cooks for me, that cleans my house, the person that is there for me when I'm sad, the person that is there for me when I'm happy because I accomplished somebody. So she's the one that pats me on the side. So um difficulties with getting home care and aides to be here with us is like, it's an ongoing, day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, that with people with disabilities, it's always on your mind. Are they coming back? Because they're not getting paid well. If my aide doesn't come back, how do I go out? How do I go and make it to this life that I want to live, that it's supposed to be normal? I need the hands of that second person. I need the help. So even if I try to put a very good attitude and positivity into, like, after I leave my house, it starts at home. It starts with having these people that are there for you, that make your life worth it, because you're able to go out that door and go to work and go to concerts and make a normal life. So advocating for them, and advocate it is advocating for ourselves, for our well-being, and that we don't have that in our minds, that, oh my gosh, she got sick, who else is going to come in, because they're not getting paid well.
Right.
So that's a big issue.
Yeah. That's a really interesting point, because you have to be your own advocate, right? You can't let somebody come in and not do what's right. But at the same time, when you find somebody that's a good aide, you have to also be friendly with them, because you don't want them to leave. So it puts you in an interesting situation, right? Where you have to
Mhm.
advocate for yourself just enough, because the pay is so. So the the I don't know if this is true, but I imagine that some people just have to settle, because they're like, I may not find anybody better than this, because the pay is what it is.
Correct. I have friends that their aides have robbed them. They've damaged, like, their sofas. They've almost burned their apartments cooking. And these are things that do happen. And you got to be careful. And when you got that special someone that knows how to do things, and that you don't have to even have to worry about that, I mean, you want to keep them. And sometimes you do things that aren't safe for you. Like, for example, staying a few hours just to give them a break by yourself and things like that,
Hmm.
because it happens a lot. And I mean, people don't disclose this, but these things happen, because um how do you help to make them stay, and to make, to show them that they're valued? Like
Right.
you give them an extra hour, just maybe leave earlier until the other person comes,
Right.
or go while I wait. There's so many ways, so many things that happen that it's not known, but people do it
Yeah.
just to stay in good terms with the good aid that you have.
Right. And that's hard.
Mhm.
The other thing is, just because for the residents listening,
Mhm.
as a reminder, a lot of the patients we have with spinal cord injury need bowel routines. And technically, an aide is not supposed to do the bowel routine. But what you'll find is with a lot of the patients over time, when they build a relationship, the aide does help. And so there's some of this goes a little bit both ways. Like the aide might do something they're not really supposed to do. We won't say who so they don't get in trouble. And then it goes the other way where somebody might say, I know that I need you,
Mhm.
um, but I'm going to let you, go and do this
Mhm.
or do this other way because, I am going to have to bend that way for you.
Correct. When you talk about the bowel routine, yes, it's a very sensitive issue. It's something that has to be done. Like for
Right.
instance, I need to have them introduce their fingers in my body. It's uncomfortable, but now it's been 26 years. I'm already over that. I mean, it's my need. I need to get to do it, and we got to do it. It's getting them to help you out in that sense and to understand why. And I try to picture it as nice as possible when I get, new aides and I'm training people because I train my people. So there's some that, they put a face like, I don't know, I've never done it. I'm like, come on, try it. I mean, it's you helping me because, so I try to give an explanation to
Yeah.
see if, it gets into their mind. But it's something that in my case, they have to do, they have to help me. And also with the Foley catheter, I have a suprapubic for my urine, and that's another issue that it's open. It's an open wound in your body. And
Yeah.
people are like, oh, they're freaking out looking at them. And I'm like, listen, look away, just try to feel, um, plug it in. I try to, be as funny, I guess, like putting it with humor for people to do things for me. And if they say no, I have to deal with that no and
Yeah.
try to get somebody to do it.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. Um, One thing you mentioned earlier, just to go back, you mentioned going clubbing and going out and how it can take a long time just to get ready. So, um, but when you're going out, like the actual act of going out, it's like getting somewhere, taking transportation, how's all that for you?
Okay. I make it work. It's not easy. I make it work. Um, we have Accessoride, which it's not reliable, but I mean, I think that's the best backup per se, to get that going, register with Accessoride and things like that. They might pick you up an hour earlier. They might pick you an hour like 3 or 4 hours after, but you got to deal with that. And, that's an option. Transportation wise, when we talk about if you have enough money to take cabs, not everybody has enough money. Like you're even trying to go to a club and take a drink, buy a drink. That adds up. Plus a taxi, like it's a lot.
Yeah.
So that's tricky. Now going on a bus, it takes longer. There's schedules that if you're going clubbing, you're not gonna find a bus to take you back home at the time you're gonna go out.
Yeah.
So take away that bus. And trains. Okay. Um, our system is not working that well. We have about 23% of accessible stations, and that's nothing. So, and if the stations are accessible, they're not working. The
Yeah.
the elevators aren't functioning. So imagine you're like, okay, with some drinks on, you're going home, you're gonna take the train, and surprise, the elevator's down. What do you do? It's a lot. It's a lot. And I just think that people have to learn how to have like a smile to all these difficult moments, because or else you'll go crazy. And if you don't go crazy, you'll just stay stuck at home. And that's not the thing. It's like, okay, let's go and see what our obstacles are. And yes, transportation is an obstacle. But I mean, try to figure things out within time. Plan A, plan B, plan C. I do all those plans just in case.
Hmm.
And because it took me a while after crying like a baby at those specific moments with that when that happened, that it reminded me, it stops me and it tells me, oh, hello, you're stuck in a wheelchair. You have a disability, so you're not normal. So I used to cry a lot when these situations used to occur. But now I don't. It's like, okay, it gives me more strength to say, okay, guys, whoever's with me, this is my life. This is how we have to deal with it. So learn and let's see, let's put our heads together. What are we going to do? Right? So transportation has been very tough. We do go out and advocate for transportation. We continue to do that until someday, and I believe, I have faith that someday we'll have 100% of all the train stations accessible for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, that's super important to kind of think about. In theory, I had a patient once say to me, I said, well, you could take the bus, just asking.
Mhm.
The buses are accessible. And the person said to me, and I won't forget, yeah, the buses are accessible, but have you ever tried to get on a bus when it's rush hour and had the person have to stop? They put the whole thing out. They make everyone get out of the seats. They lift up the chair. You get in. They lock you in, and everyone is screaming at you that you're making them late for their job.
Everybody's
And
everybody's
and
hating you.
and they said it's not accessible because people aren't. I don't want to. I don't need to be put in that situation just to get a bus ride, so I don't take the bus. And so there, even when something is accessible, the way other people treat you in that scenario may not be like accessible, so to speak. Um, so one thing I wanted to touch on was, when you're at the club or you're taking the public transportation or at a restaurant or whatever, you know, there's a there's a sentiment out there. Some people will call it ableism, or meaning like somebody will treat you differently because you have the disability. Is that something that you could talk about, or maybe give like an example or two for the residents?
Actually, I could give like the two sides of a situation. For example, yes, you're in a wheelchair. They say that you could cut lines and then you don't have to wait, and they will offer, to service you first. Yes, it does happen. And yes, I take advantage of that. I really do. Because I don't know, just because there's been, I try to weigh it out. Sometimes they make me feel bad, and when I could make myself feel good, I'll take advantage and I'll be like, hello, I'm in a wheelchair. I'm not gonna do that line. I try
Yeah,
to do it nicely. But yes, I take advantage of that. But there's other times where they look at you and they're like, oh, we don't have a ramp. Ooh, this is not accessible. And sorry for them, because since I'm an advocate, you would hear me. I'll be like, okay, let me talk to your supervisor. I take the time to talk to a supervisor, a manager, and
hmm,
advise them that they have to put their stuff out there accessible for everyone. And I even give them links and things that they could get money back at the end of the year, because there's a law that helps to do accommodations. But yes, people are weird. um People are in another world. They're not very focused on what's going around them, unless it's something that it's in their interest. Why am I saying this? Sometimes I just roll through the streets and there's people on their phones, or people just like in La La Land. And I do this on purpose. I just go straight to them and I'm like, they're gonna hit me, they're gonna fall down. It's their fault. They're on the phone. And when they see me, they're like, oh, and they jump. And I'm like, yes, you have to jump. Be careful. You could get hurt or you could hurt me. And I start laughing because I I startle them. They're not expecting me, right? But I do that on purpose because I see the need of others to pay attention. And here in New York, we don't pay attention. There's a lot of people going through stuff and they're like, it's not with me, but it is. We're a community and we should have these specifics, you know, around us. So yes, people look at us weird or they're like, they move away and I'm like, I'm okay, you don't have to move, but I give them a smile, you know? And inside I know that people are ignorant and being ignorant, it becomes a bad thing. But now with these days, come on, you can't deal with being ignorant. There's all of this is out there. There's people like us out there. There's internet. There's so many things out there. Like my community is coming out day by day. It's giving themselves a chance and they're living life better. That's true. Um, but just the fact that people don't care and they get into situations with us that is so ridiculous just because they don't even put the attention or the effort to learn what a disability is. I mean, we don't got the cooties, we're not gonna, you know, get you sick, but they jump and that's uncomfortable. That's very uncomfortable. So people that are not prepared, people with disabilities that are mentally more delicate, that gets to them and they don't want to go out because of it, because they don't want to encounter ignorance in a society where, oh my God, everything is out there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that comes in, you know, you mentioned like a store or something that wouldn't have a ramp. A lot of people might just say, oh, well, and maybe get upset, but go away and just leave it.
Mhm.
Um, but what about socially? Like when you're meeting new people or making new friends, are there things that happen or don't like could happen better, or you know, like what
Mhm.
should people know when they meet someone, or like for anything, like just to make a friend, to ask you on a date or whatever? Like what is it? What kinds of things should people know?
Um, the way I socialize, it's hard to just like go out and just like one day I say, okay, I'm going out and I'm gonna make a friend. It's weird because you're smiling at people and you're saying hi, and people are doing this, like literally, they're like, oh my God, like you're crazy. And I'm like, no, it's a beautiful day, right? Yeah, I'm just sharing that. But they walk away. They totally walk away like you're a monster. And because they don't know how to interact. Okay, I already put it out there. It's ignorance. They don't have friends. They don't know. It's okay. But it's hard. It's hard just to pick up people. And I say pick up, I'm not going out to pick up a guy, but anyways, just to be friends, it's hard. I mean, the person has to have an open heart and an open mind. And I guess that when people have approached me has been because they say, oh my gosh, I saw you smiling. I saw you having a good time. I mean, I saw you doing this, that it broke that ice for me. And I came to you to say hi. So it's also on us. The way they perceive you, the way you're being perceived is what you have inside and what you're bringing outside. So people, you will attract people. I'm the type that I do attract people because of these things. Like, oh, I saw you, I don't know, saying or smiling or giving a joke, and you look lively and you look like a nice person. Like there's something that an energy that you have that bring me to you. So these things come within us. And I believe that my community has to work more on that to get people to come to them, because people aren't easy, and especially when they're not educated on, you know, disability awareness. So I believe that, you know, it's hard. It's hard, and it's not impossible. And it's the way you want things to attract to yourself that you're gonna make it happen. But it's not easy.
Yeah, this got me thinking. You know, you've mentioned advocacy a few times. Um, you know, as a physician, um, or as a resident that would be a future doctor, future fully independent practitioner. Um, you know, what can someone like that do? I mean, you know, let me give you an example, right? Just offhand, you know, there's a lot of paperwork that we do, right? So we do
Mhm.
that, but like so sometimes we'll get patients that come in from a nursing home, right? And they say, well, I want to
Mhm.
eventually get home or like get an apartment.
Mhm.
And, you know, we say, we will, you know, tell them, well, you have to go through the housing, you have to apply, it could be years. Um, but, you know, there's not really like, and then that kind of ends. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of examples of that. That's just one. So the question is, what are the best ways that a doctor can help? Should we just focus on, you know, like like if we like where is advocacy on the list of things that doctors should be doing? Is it like towards the top, in the middle, towards the bottom? You know, if we say like medical care, filling out these
Mhm.
forms, like empathy, like where does advocacy fall in?
Okay, as for the other side of
Hmm.
the table, which is you guys, I believe that you have to be in touch. And when I say in touch, with that person that's going through that moment and try to empower them. How do we empower them? Um, we got groups, go to these groups. Um, we have friends, we have videos. There's so many things out there that could show that your life could be much better than what you think it is right now. And that there's going to be stepstones that you have to go through, and it's going to be uncomfortable and bumpy. It's a bumpy ride, but eventually it's doable. It's doable. So if the doctors in some way could become a type of motivator for that person, um guys, I when I first got injured, my first hero was my doctor. My first hero was that nurse assistant that would go to my room. And those were the people that I needed. And I needed a good word and an advice. And what do you think? Have you seen more people like me? Like all of these things. And when you get to that moment and you see that doctor, that nurse assistant, that medical professional gives you that strength and saying it's going to be okay. There's this, there's that I know of. I could get you information. Oh my God, that's like mind blowing, because you're looking up to that hero and he's giving you answers, that there is a possibility, that there's something out there that can make your life easier. So, in a way, get in contact with that person more like emotionally, and treat them as normal, not like, okay, you're going through this condition, but it could be temporarily. Like you could have a good life, you could do things even though you're with that condition, whatever the condition is.
Hmm.
So yes, I believe that you guys should step up, step up and go more towards the motivator, inspiring,
Yeah.
and giving resources. Mhm.
So it sounds
'Cause there's a
almost
lot.
like empathy is even more
Mhm.
important than, I mean, I'm sure you want good medical care, but empathy and understanding would even come before that.
Excellent. Yes,
And so,
definitely. Mhm.
and so for a resident, you know, in the hospital, sometimes that can be obvious, right? Somebody just had a car accident and you know, you may not be good at empathizing, but you can understand how you need to be empathetic to that person. They just went through something terrible, and the last thing they want to hear is they're never going to walk again.
Mhm.
Um,
And obviously, a phrase that I know what you're feeling. No, you don't know.
yeah,
Never say that. You never know what we're going through or what we're feeling. But
yeah,
at least you could hear, like I could hear you. I am, I'm
yeah,
here. I'm
yeah,
listening. Let's try to work it out. Those are very powerful words. Let's try to work it out. Let's do it together. Like know that there's somebody there to back you up.
yeah. You know, I found when I started doing this job, it was almost like an instinct when you're trying to be empathetic to say like, oh, I understand. But I changed very quickly to say like, I can try to understand, or um, I can't know how you're feeling, but XYZ, right?
Mhm.
Or things like only you know how you're feeling. But so sometimes people need that like catchphrase.
Mhm.
So it's easy to
Mhm.
replace, and you're basically saying the same thing, but the changing the words a little bit make a big difference. Um, but for me, especially like in the hospital, it comes more natural because I can say like this person is in it. This is I need to help them through this, because if they don't get through this, then they're not gonna, keep coming for therapy. They're not gonna join the groups, or if they do, they're gonna lose like a year or two, like,
Mhm.
and some people lose that time and they have to go through their own process. But where it's harder for me is what you're saying, like an outpatient, to like take the time, dig deep, and just, instead of say, hey, you're here for the refills, this or that, but really,
Mhm.
really ask about, okay, how's life going? And like, what are your plans? Like you got this job, you're going to be the boss one day, or like, what's your next step?
Mhm.
And I don't know. And so what you're saying is more of that is important. And to say like, maybe somebody wants to go back to school, but they don't know how, and you never ask them,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So that's what I'm hearing. I don't know if that's what you're saying.
Yes, 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 definitely. I mean, if it's when you're just, leaving, when you're just in the hospital, what we mentioned before, that's very important. And once you leave and you come, yeah, you tend to come to the same doctor if you can. And if not, if it's a new patient that's just coming, be involved. Ask, how you doing? Even if they say, it's not your problem, or why are you asking me that? Because you're gonna get those people. You're gonna get angry. You're gonna get very angry people that are going through a disability or situation or condition. And that's the way. And they're trying to explode, and don't take it personal, because it's not personal. They don't even know you. But do try to um, you know, go around the situation and offer resources if you do have them. And if they're not that angry, that they let you speak to them and find out how they're doing. That's nice. That's nice when you go to a doctor and you could like just chill and say, oh my gosh, today I had a bad day, and oh, what happened? But don't worry, you're gonna be a fighter. You're gonna
Yeah.
overpass this. Give them that strength, because sometimes we need that. We all need them. Even you guys. I mean, even people that everybody goes through things, and sometimes you just want to know that somebody's listening and that somebody's there. So us more with a
Yeah.
condition. Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I'll tell a story for fun. When I was the very first rotation I did as a rehab resident, I went to this hospital, and they had like a 20-bed rehab unit, but it was general. So it wasn't specific to spinal cord injury or anything. So most of the people there had like hip replacements and stuff like that. And the doctor I would rotate with, would go in a patient room and he'd say, how you doing? And they'd say, oh, my pain is terrible. I didn't sleep. I'm constipated. And he'd say, you know what? You're doing great. Just keep doing what you're doing. It didn't matter what they said. He would just say, you're doing great. He'd do his hands like this. You're doing great.
Mhm.
And he'd walk out. And that was basically it. I mean, there was sometimes a little bit more, but that was it. And I was like, what is this guy doing? Like, he's just ignoring them. But they
Yeah.
loved him. They loved him. And so I learned from him very early that
Mhm.
positivity can be important. And
Mhm.
so every now and then, and I found it could be little things like a touch, right? You touch somebody on the shoulder, on the foot.
Mhm.
People see that, or they interpret it. You give them a little pat on the back as you walk by, or you see them in the hall. Hey, you
Mhm.
look great. And those things kind of add up. And I found once you, especially early in the hospital, if you can make the connection,
Mhm.
then people will trust you more. So like if they come and see you in the clinic,
Mhm.
you don't have to always dig, because they'll bring it to you, if they
Mhm.
feel comfortable. Doesn't
Mhm.
mean you should never ask, but
Mhm.
if somebody doesn't feel comfortable with you, it's not going to come out the same way. Um, so I think that's important.
There's like topics, they're so universal. If it's sunny, you saw the sun today? Oh my gosh, it's so hot. You should go out and try to get some vitamin D into your, like, things like that. Oh, is it cold? Oh my gosh, it's cold, right? Are you cold today? Oh, do you have, I don't know, you want an extra blanket? You want something like that, like things that are so obvious during the day. Or did you hear this? Or you want to, if there's people, in the field that they can make jokes, they can make a joke, even if it's a bad one. Even if they say, oh my gosh, doctor, or whoever you are, you suck at, excuse my French,
Yeah.
at making jokes, but at least you made that person laugh.
Right.
Something that
Something
you could give.
normal. Talk
Mm-hmm.
about something normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, because mostly we're making this for the residents. What's,
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, what's the worst thing a doctor could say or do to somebody with a new spinal cord injury? And what about like somebody with a chronic spinal cord injury? Is it the same? Like, what's the worst thing a doctor could say or do in that? Is it the same or is it different? I know it's a different kind of question. I think it maybe the first one is easier to
Mm-hmm.
answer. Let's
Repeat
start with
the
that
first
one.
one.
Like in
Uh-huh.
the
Mm-hmm.
hospital, somebody just got to rehab after a spinal cord injury. What should the
Mm-hmm.
doctor never do or say, the rehab doctor?
Oh, please, please never say that they're never gonna walk again, that they're never gonna have a normal life, that they're always gonna be in that chair or with that prosthesis or anything that's happening, depending on the situation, the condition. Never say that they're never gonna have a normal life, that they're gonna be stuck to that life, because along the way you learn how to adjust. So it's not like I'm in a wheelchair and do I remember that I'm in a wheelchair? I really don't, because I'm living life until, obstacles come my way, but never bring that person to a no. Don't bring that word no or never. You cannot say that.
Is there ever a time, like after 3 months or after 1 year, do you think there's ever a time that the doctor could say that, like, I don't think you're going to walk again?
No, you should never say that. Never say that. Never. You don't know. You don't know what life is going to bring to that person. I'm 26 years into my injury with spinal cord injury with a wheelchair, and I haven't lost faith in someday getting up again. And that's okay with me. So why would somebody come to me and break that that faith and that illusion? Nobody is entitled to do that. Nobody. And if you believe in a superior being, if you believe in God and whoever you believe, that's there's always keeping that faith that things would change, that things would happen. But throughout these 26 years, I haven't said no to myself. Why would somebody else that doesn't even know me, or it's not even God, is going to tell me I'm never going to do this? Because I found many ways of doing things in life differently, adjusting, and I do them. So you see where that never comes in. So you're never going to go to a club and dance. I go to the club and dance and I move my body. Who's telling me I can't dance? Who's telling me I'm not dancing? Even a person that can't even move like from the neck down, they would go like, or their eyes or something,
Yeah.
they'll feel the music and they'll be dancing their way. Correct? So never, never say that somebody is never going to be able to do anything, because you don't know. You don't know, you're not God. Nobody could say this.
Yeah. So it doesn't, so it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like it doesn't matter. Like, I think people, I'll just use me so I don't
Mm-hmm.
say anything. I
Mm-hmm.
think uh, I would think to be a lot more careful early on, and then, kind of in the future, see what the person needs. Because I've had patients come like a year later, they're like, doctor, I just need to know like what you think. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes, like I never bring it up unless they bring it up.
Correct.
And when they do, I will always say, anything is possible. You could be how you are today for the rest of your life. You can make a full recovery or anything in between. And I will never say anything else different than that
Mm-hmm.
unless they keep bothering me or they're like, stop,
Mm-hmm.
like, stop with the crap, doctor. Like, tell me what you
Mm-hmm.
really think. And even then I think there's only one patient
Mhm.
that I've ever told while they were in the hospital, because they would ask me every day, like 3 times a day. And I understood that they just needed to know, like they couldn't move forward.
Mhm.
So I told them what I thought,
Mhm.
but otherwise I've never, I never do
Mhm.
that unless somebody really pushes me.
And even in that case, or in that scenario, you could say what biologically
Right.
things could be, like scientifically or something like
Right.
that. I don't know the right term, but as a doctor, what you went to school for and what you've seen, correct? You could say, okay, because of this, this is not happening. And the reality is that you're not walking and you won't be able to walk because this does not connect with this,
Hmm.
correct? And then you stop there. And then you say, but you could live a normal life. You could do anything you want, just adjusting your life.
Yeah.
Like this isn't the end of your story. This would be just a new beginning because it's a new way and style of life. So when you come and you give them that, I mean, I believe that you should hype it up and give that possibility for the person to leave with that. Okay, yes, scientifically, I cannot do this because it's not connected, but there's other ways in making your life good and better and happy and live a
Yeah.
normal life.
Yeah. So, and that
Mhm.
you keep saying this, and I think it's important for me to repeat it. It's it's the doctor's responsibility to start putting somebody in that positive mind frame.
Correct.
Even you may say it, and they may say, "You're full of it, doctor. My life is over." But you need to still say, you can live a normal life. You can still get married. You can still have a job. You can try to have kids.
Mhm.
You can do all these things.
Mhm.
And even if they think you're full of it, you should say it.
Yes. Yes, because that's real. It's what's out there. And
Yeah.
if he doesn't believe you, that he thinks that you're making this up, you give him the resources. Go to the net, go to the internet. You're gonna see people um, skydiving. You're gonna see people having kids. You're gonna see people like you want to see it with your own eyes. Let me present it to you. There's websites. We got Mount Sinai has a website. Remember that we did all these
Yeah.
um
Sexualitysci.org.
yeah,
Yeah.
so things like that are out there and you give them that opportunity and they have to go to the internet and they'll find it or go to groups or go speak to Yesenia. Let
Yeah.
me bring her to you, things like that. I mean, nowadays, the doctors and doctor assistants, all of all of these professionals that these are our persons to go to, our heroes. They have so much resource to give us and so much empowerment to give us, even if they're not focused on empowering, but there's so much research that could help the person, motivate them and go out there and look for something else.
Yeah. Thank you. I want to change gears a little bit.
Mhm.
So we've been talking a lot about spinal cord in general, and you've given some personal examples. Um, I'm curious, do you think your life as a person with tetraplegia is different in terms of like just to say discrimination because you're a woman as opposed to if you were a man with tetraplegia, or no? Is it the same as any other woman and any other man, or is there something? Are there things we wouldn't think about? Like because people say like women get paid less. That's general kind of fact overall, and
Mhm.
women don't always get promoted as fast. And
Mhm.
these are facts that we see for anybody of any level. But have you noticed anything within the disability community or how other people treat you as a woman, and that you've seen that
Um,
differently for men?
maybe in general, our disability goes both ways, females or males. The way they treat us is the way they treat us, yes. But I could maybe think that people are nicer to women that have a disability.
Hmm.
I could maybe say that.
What about
Um,
like in work? Have you, because you have a job and you know other
mhm,
people with
mhm,
jobs, do you think that
mhm.
women with disabilities have a harder time getting jobs than men with disabilities? Or
No,
no? Okay.
no, no. And just the fact that women are women. Oh, and today's the International Day of Women. We are celebrating. Oh my God, this is beautiful. Women tend to be a bit more, I don't know. I don't know if I should say that stronger, but they're looked upon differently.
Hmm.
Because we have like that essence of of more tranquility, of being lovable. There's a lot of nasty women out there, yes, don't get me wrong. I just want to picture something nice. But yes, the tendency of how do you treat a woman,
Hmm.
even if she's in a with a disability, and how you treat a guy, the guy is not gonna let you come in. The female might give you the open door in many ways to speak
Hmm.
to them, to approach them. The guys
Yeah.
are like, I'm the man, and they want to be stronger because they have that
Yeah.
condition and things like that. So yes, I think there's a difference.
Yeah.
And when we open up
Hmm.
more, we're gonna receive more. So
I
I
see
can
what you're
maybe,
saying. Yeah. So you're saying, I'm going to say this. But
mhm,
if this isn't what you mean, let me know. Um, it sounds like after getting a disability, like acquiring a spinal cord injury, um, men adjust in a different way, and they're trying to hold on to something physical and appear strong in more physical ways, whereas a woman may not. So a woman is more approachable.
mhm. And
Um,
because as women, you're used to like getting that pat, or you're so cute, or how cute, that type of treatment a woman is used to. A guy is not used to. Oh my gosh, don't do that to a guy.
right.
Like, even if he's standing, he's not gonna accept that.
Yeah. You mean culturally,
So,
they're not used to being like opening the door
mhm,
for them and like making special
yes,
accommodations. So
yes,
it takes
yes,
like a whole other like
yes,
process.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
But you know what's interesting is
Mhm,
now that we're talking about this, maybe there is, and I just don't know. But I don't know that anybody studied like pay gaps and like we're always studying because so few people with disabilities and spinal cord injury especially actually get jobs. We're just
mhm,
studying like, okay, how many people even get any jobs? That I don't think anybody's actually studied like, do men get paid more than women? Do women get hired more than
mhm,
men? So I'm asking you a question that is a little bit not fair because I don't know that anybody's done
mhm,
that, gotten in the research that specifically. Like how fast does one person get promoted over the other? Um,
mhm,
and there are all these other issues within, that women face, that women with spinal cord injury also face, like if they want to start a family and all these things and getting time
mhm,
off from work and saying, yeah, but
mhm,
you already took a month off because you had that UTI, or
mhm.
whatever. So I think these
Okay,
are
now,
questions that I don't know that have been
mhm,
asked, but I can see I triggered something. What is it?
yeah. um, because of our ADA law,
Yeah,
they see us equal, females and males, their condition,
the employer.
the employer, yes. We're all ADA.
I see.
And ADA, you have to comply with ADA or you're gonna get in trouble. So it's not like ADA female or ADA male. So it's an ADA situation at work, and it doesn't matter what disability you have, you just have a disability and you have to comply. So I think that's why maybe there's not like a study because they will see a male and a female within the ADA concept
Mhm.
that they have to comply.
So you see,
So, uh-huh.
I maybe this isn't what you're saying, but I'm almost
Mhm.
hearing like from the purposes of the job, from the perspective of the employer, you have no gender. You're just a disability on paper.
Yeah, they have to comply
Yeah.
to everything that we
So it's
need.
not, so they're thinking of
Mhm.
you in a different way. They're not looking at you and saying, well, Yesenia maybe is going to start a family and she's going to take this time off. They're just saying, okay, we really just have to comply to her physical needs with a wheelchair or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they
Mhm.
just think of you in a different, non-traditional way in terms of gender.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, here's another question, something I wanted to touch on with you. New York is not like in many other cities. So it's probably very different here than other places. But you are a Latina woman here in the United States, and there have been certainly studies and things in the news showing that people of mostly basically any minority group are discriminated against. Do you think that there's any difference with that's compounded or made worse by having a disability? Like, have you felt that's any different in being in a wheelchair, or you're just, or anything else?
No,
No.
I don't see the difference. I actually take advantage of my Latino.
Yeah.
My Latino being and my Latino sabor and my Latino flavor, my Latino energy, I take advantage of that because I know, oh, how can I say this? I know that as a Latina, I bring a fresh breath into any group I go to. Everybody's like, so, um, at work, even at work, that everybody's like so doing their thing and right. And they try to keep up on, all the protocols internally and things like that. And I'm a person that I just come and I smile and I'm like, hi, and this is me being Latina,
Yeah.
And I say, if I see like different expressions, I would be like, oh, it's just me being Colombian because I'm Colombian, right?
Yeah.
So it's like saying me being Latina. So this is part of me. Take it, This is what you're gonna get from me.
Right.
And this is what it's gonna be surrounding me. So no, I have not seen that. No.
Nothing worse. So
No. Mm-mm.
you would say whatever racism would exist would be the same whether you're in the chair or not in the chair, right?
No.
Or no? Okay.
I would say that in the disability community, maybe that's not going to exist. That's because they're seeing you as ADA, remember,
The same
ADA.
kind of thing. Like, in a weird
Yeah.
way, race is less important. What they care about more is your disability. So
Yeah.
the ableism is more
Mhm.
powerful than the racism, which
I believe so.
you don't see as much
Mhm.
because the ableism is so out there.
Mhm. Like in my group, there's people from every race. So I got good friends in every race,
Right.
in Latino and Black and white. I
But I
have
mean, from the
friends.
outside of people that aren't disabled,
Mhm.
right? But like what I'm hearing was within the disability community, everyone is, bands together because you have some
Mhm.
commonality,
Mhm.
and you have
Mhm.
something that you can build
Mhm.
off of to build a friendship.
Mhm.
But just random people walking by, or like
Mhm.
people that aren't part of that community, if they were going to discriminate against you, what I'm hearing is it's probably not
They'll
going to be because you're
discriminate, not
Latina.
me.
It's not
No.
going to be because you're a woman. It's going to be
No.
because you have a physical disability.
Yes. Exactly.
I have to wrap my head around that one a little bit. I thought you were going to say something like, "Yeah, I get it, but it's not, But you're saying something a little different than even what I expected."
Yeah, no. I haven't experienced, I haven't seen it, I haven't heard it. Oh, because I was Hispanic, oh, because I was Black. No, it was because I was disabled, or
Yeah,
because I have a disability, because I'm in a wheelchair.
yeah.
That would
I,
come up,
I
not
will tell
because
you.
of the color of your, the skin or something.
I will tell you something
Mm-hmm.
just so I leave you with something to think
Mm-hmm.
about.
Uh-oh.
No, this is good. I think this is a good conversation. We should keep having it
Mm-hmm.
even after
Mm-hmm.
this. There was a study within spinal cord injury practitioners, and they did an anonymous survey of different doctors that treat people with spinal cord injury, rehab doctors. It was an unconscious bias survey, and they found that um, these doctors had an unconscious bias against, negatively towards people that were Black or African American. So even these doctors that you've met, and you like, they're so, who is more dedicated than a spinal cord injury doctor that's getting in there, that's doing the wound care, that's like spending the time. But even in that group of people, there's an unconscious bias. Now, just for everyone listening, I know
Mhm.
Yesenia knows this, that doesn't mean they're racist. That just means there's an unconscious bias that has been culturally built within them that they need to become aware of so they can work on it not affecting patient care. Um, but there are studies like this, like that one, and other ones that people that are Black, even if they have insurance, are less likely to go to acute rehab.
Mm.
Even if you like take away just the people with Medicaid or whatever. And so all these things, just get me thinking, like, um, in the system, like maybe society is better than the system. Like when you're out in the world, you're not, like, well, they're not better because because the ableism is so bad, it sounds like, but in terms of issues of race and ethnicity, maybe there are things that could be done differently in the system to maybe set people up for better success when they leave, so that it doesn't take them so long to get to where you are now. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So anyway, this has been very nice for me. I have enjoyed this.
Me too. I
Is
enjoyed
there
it.
is there
Thank
anything else
you.
you wanna talk about before we wrap up? Anything else you want to
The,
make, like any sound bites you want?
no, but this is also therapeutical. I mean, I just go on with my normal life,
Yeah.
and this is like stopping for a second and realizing these little issues that maybe, they don't bother me anymore. But
Mm-hmm.
there's new people that are coming into this world, and even you guys, the professionals, that are going to encounter. And it is good to have this
Yeah.
conversation, back and forth with people that are going through this, and just bringing them back to the past and what they live and what they go
Mm-hmm.
through. That maybe at this point I feel happy of everything that I've accomplished just by
Yeah.
having this conversation.
Yeah. I mean, you've done a lot.
Mhm,
So, and that's why
mhm,
that's one of the reasons I interviewed you, to show someone that's been successful and
mhm,
say, look how someone can succeed. But you still, as a doctor, need to know that there can be issues to look for. That you can't
mhm.
just say like, oh, she's fine. Like I don't need to worry about her because my other patient has this other problem.
Yeah, no, no. There's that hurricane, I say it, inside of us, people with disabilities, that happen very often. And like I said before, just the fact that your body says no and your mind says yes,
Right.
that's that hurricane that you got to deal with. Maybe every day, every once a week, or it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So
Yeah.
we
And
do have.
speaking
Mhm.
of, your job has been pretty flexible about you working from home then, or do you have to go
Well,
in?
actually, um, they have been, but there was a moment that I needed more time at home because of some issues that I was having. Just sitting down on my wheelchair, in my wheelchair, and not having to go to the office. They wanted to block that and not give me another extension, and I wasn't going to be nice. And knowing that I have rights and that I could fight them, I was going to show them what the power of being an advocate, and showing them how to respect the ADA. That was going to come. That was going to come. But fortunately, it didn't happen. Okay. I didn't have to fight.
Yeah.
But yes, sometimes I don't know, maybe they might think, oh, she's taking advantage or whatever, but I'm doing my work. I had a appeal out of their decision of not
Yeah.
letting me stay a few more. So I appealed, and I structured my whys,
Yeah.
why I needed an extra month or 2.
Right.
Hmm.
I think that frame of mind, from any employer, it doesn't matter who it is, to say like, okay, this person with a disability is trying to use their disability to
Hmm.
stay home. You
Hmm.
weren't asking not to work. You said, I'm still going to do
Hmm.
all my same work. And you're saying this is temporary.
Hmm.
But there's still that instinct in the back of somebody's mind. If you were somebody that was walking and you
Hmm.
had gotten hit by a car and broken your legs,
Mhm.
right? This is temporary. The legs are going to heal. You're going to walk in a couple months. And you told work, hey, I need to work from home like 6 months because my legs are
Mhm.
broken. I think the idea that, work, I'm just guessing, but I would think for an
Mhm.
employer, they might be like, okay, fine, we understand it, but they don't understand spinal cord injury. So they're not
Mhm.
as accommodating, even though there's a
Mhm.
law. You try to use the
Mhm.
law and they say you're just trying to take advantage. Well,
Mhm.
you're not trying to take advantage. You're just doing what you're trying to protect yourself.
Correct. Mhm.
So it's interesting to think about it that way, to say like, well, why would someone question or even bring that up?
Mhm.
Your motivation, um, especially now. Like, I mean, I understand like an employer can make you come in with COVID stuff, but everyone's been working from
Mhm.
home. Like,
Mhm.
like what's the
So
big
it's
deal?
possible we
It's
did it for
possible
two
we did it.
years. Like, hello,
Can you
another
imagine
month or two? Come
how
on.
many
I
more
did
people with,
everything, huh?
yeah, how many more
Yeah.
people with spinal cord injury might be able to work if they could work from home? Or
Yes.
even like part-time, like
It's
come into the office a few days a week, or like,
yes,
hey, my bowel
yes,
routine's not going well this morning. Can I just work from home
yes.
today?
And in my community, we should take advantage of this that happens because many people did it.
Yeah,
So
it's been proven
um
that you can do it.
yes, yes. Normally you could have a decent job and you could work from like why not? Why not?